taking the story, but making it cinema, because you can't just shoot people talking. It's not interesting.
Were they in bed in the play? These scenes are very sexual in the movie.
Well, I don't think they are, you see. The scenes in the bed, which are revolving scenes, I wanted it to be sensual rather than erotic. And I said, it's written in the screenplay, these scenes are not explicit. I do not want them to be explicit, because explicit scenes tell you nothing except the obvious, and I never believe them. They've all got wonderful bodies, they've all gym-toned, they've all got makeup on, and you think, none of them ever get cramp or fart, and I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I think it's much more interesting if you see flesh and texture, like her hand full of, and all that's on her hands, the red of the nail varnish, and that's what you see. That's powerful. Then you see her with that blue-grey slip and just the back of his hand, she caresses. I think that's more interesting, because I think it's sensual rather than erotic, though.
Now, you mentioned the 50s, and you certainly do. Distant Voices, Still Lives, one of your great films, along with, I think, House of Mirth, is set, of course, in the 50s. It's semi-autobiographical. You shot this in film stock, not digitally, and it's saturated Technicolor the way we might have seen in the early 50s. That was a conscious choice on your point. That's part of it's almost a characteristic of your work.
But it wasn't desaturated, fun enough. The others were, but this wasn't. What I wanted to say, and I did say to everyone, the costume designer and the production designer and Florian, who lit it for me, the palette is small. Everything was shabby after the war. Britain was still on rations in 1954.
1950, yes. Okay.
Everything was shabby, but you kept what you had. You kept it as best as you could, so that even in a working class background like mine, coming home, say from school, especially in the winter when it was dark, we had a little pot. Everybody had a little pot which they kept pristine. And I'd come in, the fire would be lit, some toasted tea cakes would be down with a pot of tea, and all the furniture reflected the fire. And it was just cheap wooden furniture and cheap leatherette, but it seemed sumptuous to me. And I said, I love pools of light. There's just something wonderful about that. The texture, so that when someone does wear a claret colour coat, it looks sumptuous, because you didn't see primary colour. You just didn't. And so I know what that was like. Because I remember. And when you make the texture right, people don't realise it, but it has a psychological effect on you. And my template for that are the interiors on Young at Heart and the House. They are gorgeous.
The Doris Day Frank Sinatra movie that's so fantastic, where they both sing.
But the interior of that house is gorgeous. Ted McCord shot it.
Uh-huh.
And it's ravishing.
You have a 50s song in this movie, don't you? That we hear?
It's Joe Stafford, You Belong to Me.
Yes, the great Joe Stafford for that. So when you did this, were you able, so many of the scenes are in that horribly wallpapered, rooming house that she's in. Were you able to do sort of in sequence with the work then? No.
It's too expensive. You can't shoot a film in sequence. You can't. It's too expensive. This cost £2.5 million, and we shot in 25 days.
So it was quick. Very quick. How do you sketch out storyboards, or do you have it all in your head when you work with your cinematographer?
No, I've never done a storyboard, because I can't draw. And I write the script as I see and hear it, so I know every shot.
So it's very detailed, your script?
And I know every bit of music. I know if the camera is tracking right to left, left to right, up or down. I put it all in. I can't do it any other way. And so that when you come across a hitch, you can think, well, this is the shot that went before it. This is the one that's succeeds. Now, if I drop the two shot and go just for one, that'll work. I couldn't do it any other way. And I think it gives the actors a proper sort of ground base that you know when they come on and they run through the action and you say the setups are here, here and here, they know that that's what it's going to be, and not endless shots or coverage, which, you know, the only reason why that's done is because they don't know the meaning of the scene. If you know the meaning of the scene, you know where to put the camera. I mean, when they have the row outside the pub, that interior, the interior was shot somewhere else, and I said, but when they meet at the very beginning, I said, I need one shot inside, and we were pushed for time that day, and one of my producers said, are you sure it's only one shot? I said, yes, it's only one shot. We went in, set up the camera, said, that's the shot, said, fine, do it.
Wow.
And it was one shot.
So you've worked with Jenna Rollins in Neon Bible, Gillian Anderson in The House of Mirth, and now Rachel Weisz. Three legendary, highly acclaimed actors. What did you find out was similar about these three actresses, and was there anything surprising with each one that you know, that was so unexpected?
No, well, every actor and actress is different, whether they're names or not. But what I discovered, and I think this is really important, that the best actors and actresses have emotional intelligence. It's really important. They know what's emotionally true, and that's always wonderful to see. And what they do with the dialogue. When they do something different, I am thrilled when it's right. There was a bit in Neon Bible when Jenna Rhodes has to say, you know, when it doesn't happen, i.e. becoming a star, you hurt right in there, pointing to her heart. That's the line. And she said, you know, but when it doesn't happen, you hurt right in there. Oh, it pierces your heart. When Julian is asking Grace Stepney for help, the line is, you won't help me then, which is a falling inflection as I heard it. And she said, you won't help me then? Oh, I think, how could anyone refuse when they're asked in that way? And the thing I love about Rachel is at one point she has to say, but attempted suicide is a crime, isn't it? And she said, but attempted suicide is a crime, isn't it? And it's so plangent. And what I love particularly about Rachel, who's gorgeous, lovely to work with, when we're doing the scene in the pub where they're singing, she doesn't know the words. In every single take, she looked as though she didn't know the words. That's a fantastic piece of acting.
That's